are joined this evening by Ryker Murdock. Ryker, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm
Awesome.
good. Lazy Sunday.
So. Hey, you know what? It was a working Sunday for me, so I'm still lazy.
Right on.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Yeah.
So let's kind of just dive right on into our interview. So
okay.
Can we start a little bit about your history as an artist? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my whole life I've been the artsy type. When I was a kid, my mom always said, "Oh, I can't keep pen and paper in the house because Riker's always drawing something." And I used to watch Mark Kistler on PBS like way back in the day and watch Bob Ross and all that stuff. I used to draw a lot, but recently I wanted to get into painting and I didn't know which way to go. And so I just picked up some acrylics and I wanted to originally do a piece for my parents, and so I picked up a set of acrylics and started practicing and stuff like that. And every time I did a different technique to learn something new for my parents' big painting that I was doing, it turned into a whole other project and it started building. Then my friend said, "Hey, have you thought about selling your work?" I'm like, "No, I'm just doing it for my parents." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "Okay, why not? Let's go for it." So I started doing more stuff. I started getting involved in the art community, and now here I am.
And there you go. The rest is history.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully,
we'll find out more.
Future
Oh yeah.
History going on. So this might be jumping the gun a tiny bit, but as a fellow fantasy artist, I have to ask: do you consider yourself to be a fantasy artist?
You know, it's funny. As I was actually talking to my son the other day, and he's going to like graphic design and illustration, so I get his take on my artwork and stuff like that. You know. I started out doing landscapes because that's what I was doing for my parents. And it's kind of evolved from that to, I started to do like abandoned places, stuff like that. And then I got the gig for the book cover, which was my first fantasy piece I ever did. And after that, it spawned ideas and inspiration for, you know, more and more fantasy pieces. And that's really all I've done lately. So, and I'm enjoying it even more. And I would say, yeah. Now
okay.
I am, yeah. Yes.
I like it's a very much a me roundabout way of answering.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
it's all got stories, you know, and
right. Yeah.
And I didn't start out that way, but it's becoming my favorite.
It kind of culminated into that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's no rules. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. There's no regulation.
Yeah.
There's just a complete...
My clouds don't have to look like the clouds you look up in the sky.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to talk about a particular painting.
Okay.
Of yours. You have a piece that has a couple circus tents within it.
Yes.
And they're very bright, vibrant red. Beautiful
yes.
whites in it. And of course, the backdrop is a midnight sky with a full moon.
Yes.
I would love to talk to you as an artist about contrasting colors and why they are so effective to the eye.
Well, so I've got kind of a love-hate relationship with contrast and stuff like that. I've got one painting that has no contrast whatsoever, and you can't hardly see anything in it, so I got to scrap that and start over. But I don't know.
Just something drew your eye to doing that. How did that kind of come into fruition?
Well, one of the authors for Parade of the Order, the book cover that I did for Midge Klein, was working on another piece about a carnival that was ran by demons. And so I kind of took inspiration from that and kind of created this piece called Dark Fair, which is kind of the same thing. Basically, in the moonlight, you see its true form of, you know, the evil, the
entity.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And then in the regular street lights, it looks like a normal carnival to draw people in, and then, you know.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one. Because I don't think about that kind of thing. I mean, I paint what I feel about the piece, so it's, I don't know.
And it has a very macabre
Oh, yeah.
sense of itself,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I love. I have always liked work that has a bit of a dark twist to it because I feel like it's kind of unbridled emotion or unbridled regulations where there's nothing stopping it, or there's something that might be
exactly
nefarious on the other
well,
side.
and hopefully you'll see it in person. I don't know if you saw it in person, but
I have seen
yeah,
it. Yes.
you did. You probably did see it.
Yeah.
If you look closely, there's little pieces here and there. They left little clues to something going on in the painting. There's like a clown wig here, and then a popcorn bag sitting there, cotton candy or ice cream sitting there. And the effect I wanted to give is something just happened, and then everybody in the car was like, gone.
Right.
And so everything just dropped where they're at, and it's all of a sudden it's empty. It's like,
yeah, so deeply
So-
unsettling.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know, I've always wanted to do like a creepy carnival piece.
Sure.
And so when I was painting it, it's like I kind of drew up on my own fears, what I think would just make me go, ugh,
Right.
and put it in there. So it's, you know, the Ferris wheel, it's broken, but it's still running the roller coaster that's got the track out coming up, but it's still running towards it, you know, just the creepiness of the dark tents. And it's, yeah.
Wonderful.
So-
No, that I mean that's an interesting answer to that
Yeah,
question. It's
I just-
interesting to hear kind of about the creation behind that painting because it does have a very kind of dark connotation.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that I absolutely love when I see in art. So, you were featured at the Bookend Gallery, which I myself have actually shown in as well.
Mhm.
Do you have any opinions as far as showing in venues that are not necessarily galleries and how they help artists, and maybe if a venue is more open to the public, like what good does that do? How does that help our
Well,
community?
the funny thing is that's how I came into the community. I was introduced to Denny Carmen, and he was doing curating for smaller venues like restaurants and coffee shops and stuff like that. And he kind of took me under his wing and taught me how to do it while I was still finding my way in acrylic painting. And I eventually started curating myself. And so I take care of a couple locations now. And the Bookend at the time is actually one of the places that I found artists for. And I think that personally, galleries are very intimidating in general because you hear about art gallery. You know, you got to be a certain level to get in there, and I think for smaller places like coffee shops, restaurants, wine bars, stuff like that, it gives artists maybe not as good as that fine art level, or maybe they don't have the confidence to approach a gallery yet. You know, kind of a starting off point. You know. And especially in local communities like for Wiley's Bistro that I find artists for, we only take in local artists.
Okay.
And we try to give them a place to show their awesome work, and plus it gives the owner great art on his walls for the month, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it's a great stepping stone for newer artists. And, you know, I've really only been actively showing my work for about a year now, but before that, I was still helping find artists for several locations for quite a few years before that. And so I can see the effect I see, you know, new artists come in, they've never done a solo show before, and they're all excited, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna do solo, I can do it by myself. I'm like, hey, this is a place to do it. And
Yeah.
they have a blast. So
That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the shows that I have done, and I've really enjoyed the venues that seem to be a little bit more open to the general public and draw the general public, and you get a little bit more of an interesting footprint within those areas.
Exactly.
Which is kinda cool. So,
well, and it also helps artists because there's not a very large group of general society that will just go to an art gallery on their own. You know, it's like kind of like I like music, but I don't like country music, so I won't intentionally turn on country music. But if it's there and it sounds cool,
right.
you know, it's like I won't. You know, some people might not intentionally go to an art gallery because they don't really care about going to an art gallery. But if they walk into a restaurant, see something cool, and then, well, hey, that's cool. I think I like that.
Sure.
You know.
Well, we're gonna have to scrap this interview because you don't like country music, but you know.
I was raised on a farm in southeast Idaho. Does that help?
I guess okay. We can forgive you.
I saw your post that you were listening to country music, so I was like, oh.
We are joking. Oh, should I show up? that is funny. So, can you talk to me? I am reading Pray to the Order right now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am loving it. Again, I love fantasy fiction. It's one of my favorite genres. I've read it since I was a child.
I'm
love
definitely.
it. Can you tell me how you got involved in the project?
That's funny because I was at a point where I had just finished a big piece for my father-in-law, and before that for my dad, and I was sitting there, and I have all as a landscape artist, you have tons of reference photos that you take by yourself or from other people, you know. And I was sitting there just flipping through them like, I don't know what to paint. I got 5 blank canvases. I have no idea what to paint. And so I posted online. I posted a picture of my blank canvas. I'm like, well, I've got blank canvas. What do I do? What do I paint? Anybody got any ideas? And I had had Midge Klein on my friends list for a while because she was doing a cookbook, and I saw her in Spokane. I can't remember where it was. And she's like, oh, hey, could you paint like a monastery with like monks, maybe like magical portals and stuff? And I'm like,
Okay.
I've never done it before, but I'll try it. And that's how it happened. It's just kind of downhill from there.
Well, no, it's a lovely.
It's totally like random, like, oh, geez.
Right, and like just a snowball.
Oh yeah, it was, and that spawned like, you know, after I got the cover done, I was like, well, let's see what I can do with this. So I planned about 7 other paintings, and I wanted to start actually showing my work, and I was going to start at Wiley's where I found the art. I'm like, I'm going to start there.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I started in August, and I had until January 1st to finish 7 large scale paintings.
Wow.
And so I only averaged like 1 every month or 2. So I had to like really push it. And
Right.
but yeah, Parade of the Order was a blast. It was cool because I never worked with authors before. So that was my first time ever doing a book cover. And seeing the process they go through is pretty interesting too. But it was, I got to actually pick Midge's brain while she was writing it, because she was still in the process of finishing it when I was working on the cover. So it was really fun.
That's interesting because it's like you're translating one artist's work into now something that you have to translate to be the book cover.
Yeah.
And so it's not only translating something from like a client, it's now turned into 2 artists collaborating.
Exactly.
Into this work. And it's a very neat book cover. I mean, it's very, very
Thank
cool.
you.
Very ethereal. Very neat.
Yeah, it was oh shoot. Yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, I've never.
Because it was so new.
Yeah, I didn't know how to, but I've got a heck of an imagination. I've been into fantasy and all my life, and so I had to basically. I was excited because I got to create what was in her mind. I got to actually bring it to life, and a couple of my other paintings are from the book, so I got to take scenes from the book and actually create that scene. One of the pieces is from the book where a portal is actually opening and there's a fallen angel standing near the portal, and I got to kind of imagine what that portal would look like as it's opening, like, you know, the ley lines coming together and then just this power building, and then, you know, so. Oh,
that's so neat. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I have fun with it.
It's a little bit cool because I get to kind of nerd out right now since
nerd out all you want. I'm a fellow nerd, so.
Science fiction, and especially talking to someone who's actually illustrated something for a fantasy piece is like, it's very cool.
Oh yeah.
So, on your page, I love a comment you say. You write something on your page that I think is absolutely wonderful, and I'd love for you to kind of iterate and talk a little bit about it. You talk about how artists see the world in a different way. Can you tell us why you think that and where you think that comes from?
So if there, I think it's my old bio, but when I look at things personally, I don't see, you know, green trees. I don't see brown trunks. I don't see black asphalt. I don't see, you know, a red door. I see all the colors that make up the green leaves. I see all the different kinds of shades of green. I see all the different shades of gray and black and blues that are in asphalt, stuff like that, you know. I see the colors of the lights that are reflecting off the snow, not the white of the snow, just in my mind. And so I think the creative types are kind of wired that way. You know, they use a different side of their brain. They can see those little details, you know. Right. I was driving over here and I actually saw the reflection of the sun off the road as I was driving, and I'm like, oh shoot, I can use that. Because I see how it reflects off the pavement, and I can actually use that kind of reflection in one of my works that I'm working on, and so I can see how to create that versus just, oh, the sun's in my eyes, that hurts, you know.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
It's almost like your interpretation or an artistic interpretation is different from someone who might not be artistically creative.
Exactly.
In a way. Yeah.
And so I feel like because I'm an artist and because I see things that way, I almost have no responsibility. No, it's something I should do is to help translate that.
Right.
You know, for people who are not artistically inclined or have that mindset to view it
Make
in my
it
work.
applicable
Yeah.
to other people. Yeah.
Yep.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier that you started in landscapes, and I've seen some of your landscapes, and a lot of them do have a bit of a ethereal feel or a surreal aspect to them, especially a piece that features a tree within water. And I'm just curious about, again, you said that being a fantasy artist was something that was fairly new
Yes.
to you, but I'm curious if all your landscape paintings always had a little bit of that touch to it.
I think they did. That piece is actually, that's interesting because one of my good friends from high school back in my hometown actually took a photo of that exact painting. Like that painting is painted directly from a reference photo
Wow.
of a tree sitting out in a lake like that.
Wow.
I was like, oh, I love it.
Uh-huh.
And so she's like, yeah, paint it. I'm like, woo, I'm gonna paint it. And so, and I think it goes back to the way I see things.
Right.
Because, growing up, I grew up on a farm, and we used to always work cattle in the spring and in the fall, and we'd be out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then the mist and the fog would be coming off the ground. And I don't remember, a lot of regular things like, oh, the cows were doing this, cows were doing that. I remember the smell of the morning, the fog, and how I felt, and stuff like that. And just, I don't know. So I guess taking from that kind of stuff is why it might have that surreal feel to it.
Yeah.
I like creating the atmosphere of the
Right,
piece
right.
type things.
Something that I've always called that artwork with action.
Oh.
Where there's action within it. There's you're thinking, is there a story to this? What's going on here? What's just happened? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And your work feels like that. Like there is a little bit of this kind of burning, this ectoplasm left
There you go.
from
Ooh,
whatever
I like
has
that one.
happened.
Yes. There you go. There you go.
That is very easy to see within your work. So.
Well, and like I can't remember who said, but there's an artist that I followed. I can't remember who it was, but he said there's 3 things that every piece of work should have: action, movement, and passage of time.
Right.
And so I try to create that in every one of my pieces. There's something related to those 2 things in each.
Right. You can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely see
like,
that.
one piece I did was I painted a reproduction of my great grandmother's painting of quails in a barn in the background. And I made sure to put lights on in the barn, even though it was at dusk, so that it looks like someone's actually working in the barn. The quails getting ready to take off from the fence. So there's movement there. The passage of time it's at dusk, so it's still light outside, but there's stars in the sky, that type of thing, and so.
So let's talk a little bit more about fantasy and science
Yes.
fiction. And all my ploy.
Oh, you talk about all you want. Okay.
Right? So what are your thoughts on the genre of fantasy and science fiction? And do you feel that, I don't want to feel like I'm leading that, but do you feel that those 2 genres are poorly represented within the art world or not taken as seriously as some other genres are?
If you're thinking like traditional art world, like paintings hanging on a wall, stuff like that, yes, I think they're underrepresented because it's not the norm. The norm is, I hate to say it, you want to see, a lot of people want to go to Walmart and buy the print of some piece of mountain somewhere, and stuff like that. Not a lot of people will go and buy a big science fiction painting, or a big fantasy painting and stuff like that. And so, maybe I'll change that a little bit around here. I don't know.
One can wish.
Yeah,
And hope.
I hope. But yeah, I mean, it's you think about the nerd world,
Right.
like with D&D and stuff like that, and there's a huge following for
Right.
it. There's books. There's hundreds of pages of books that are just fantasy art alone for D&D.
Right.
You know, we've got people that, like I've kind of delved into this recently, altering like Magic the Gathering cards, extending that artwork a little bit more and making it a collector's item for the owners and stuff like that. And it's definitely undervalued, underrepresented, you know.
It has a very distinct feeling of, because I've been a fantasy artist since I was a child.
Oh, nice.
And it was something that I've always loved, and I've always loved the lack of rules and the lack of restraint when it comes to what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
But I always felt from comments and even from like maybe a general attitude that fantasy art had no place on someone's wall, that nobody wanted it. And so it's been hard to break that norm of being confident in my own art when...
That's understandable. I mean, because, you know, it's... The nerd world is... Even though it's becoming more mainstream...
Right.
You know, how long was it not cool to be a nerd or be a geek, you know? And so I think the big thing is a lot of that stuff's still taboo to a lot of people.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you can't have a big warrior, you know, with a big giant sword killing a creature on your wall. It's just weird. It's not okay, you know.
And somehow it's odd, but it's... It's,
or a Demon Ran Carnival hanging on your wall, a big 24 by 36 painting. Who's going to have that on their wall? Well, I do, but that's, you know, that's mine.
So there's definitely like some breaking out of social norms.
I think that's...
World.
Oh, yeah. I think so, definitely. And, you know, seeing... I got a lot of positive feedback when I hung my art up at Wiley's in January for my first solo show. And everybody was saying, I love the carnival. And I was a little worried. I was like, I don't know if that's kind of dark. Like, I don't know. And, you know, and I have the Piece of the Fallen Angel. I'm like, I don't know. But everybody loved them.
Yeah. And I think people, like, especially I can say for myself, when I see artwork and when I read something, when I see something, when I watch a film, I want to be affected in some way. If that means disgust, if that means revulsion, if that means in awe, I want some movement within myself where I have an emotional response or a reaction. I don't want to look at a bowl of fruit and say those colors are lovely.
Some of that's cool, but I want the bowl of fruit to have like worms coming out of her, a little battle, like little mini bugs, like having a battle with like swords and stuff on top of it. I gotta make notes. I gotta write notes. Next painting.
We gotta make notes.
But yeah, it's, you know. So.
Now, which one of your paintings would you consider to have been maybe your most challenging project you've taken on?
The one I'm currently working on is my biggest challenge because it's my biggest fantasy piece that I'm doing. It's a big 30 by 48 huge thing. And it's based on a book that I'm going to be writing with Midge Klein.
Oh, wow.
That's for next year. She's working on a book that's coming out this year, and she'll talk more about that. But the one that's coming out next year, and it's all fantasy. It's based on a story that I've had in my mind for like 10, 20 years. And I'm finally bringing it to life, and I'm trying to create this world that this story is based in. And so I'm going full on fantasy with it. It's something from my mind I have no reference to go on. And I think it's rough. It is really rough. But one thing I've tried to do in all of my work is try to include a new technique that I haven't done before to improve my own art. You know, one painting I focused, there's a painting of Königssee Bridge in Germany, and I focused on reflection, water reflection on that one. And so it's, you know, a painting I did for my dad, I focused on larger format. It was a 24 by 48, and it had, you know, massive sunrise sky and little tiny buildings way off in the background and everything. And so every painting I do is a challenge, mainly because I want to challenge myself.
Right.
But I think this newest one is definitely, I finally finished the sky on it after around 30 or 40 hours.
Wow.
Just the sky alone. But it's that whole, I'm creating a fantasy painting with no rules. So I'm making up the rules as I go along for this realm that this story is taking place, you know, and so it's Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, I'm very excited to see that, and I'm very excited to talk to Midge and be able to look forward to your guys' new project, because I'm very much enjoying Pray to the Order
Dragons.
right now. So.
Dragons, that's what I'm gonna say.
All you need.
Dragons.
Murder lizards. That's all I want.
And I won't say a lot about it. Midge gets so mad at me when I try and like give away, details about it.
Okay.
But we're kind of creating a backstory for this whole universe that we're working on creating that's based on Prey to the Order.
Okay, sure.
And so it's gonna be dragons.
Do we need to edit that out? So she doesn't get mad at you.
Oh, she can get mad at me. You can talk to her about it. Say, so do you get mad at Ryker whenever he talks about stuff that you guys are working on?
We might just bond over that.
There you go.
I don't feel wonderful we could talk about.
She's like, quit talking about it. I don't want to quit talking about it. I'm having fun.
You're excited. I know. So now I am someone who gets easily distracted.
Mm-hmm.
I have an Xbox One. I enjoy all sorts of things. So I get distracted by them. What is something, like, do you have any things that you do that help lock out the distractions and block down the noise so you can focus on your work?
Well, I am married and I have 4 kids. So 2 of them live with us and then 2 of them live with my ex up, And so I've got my own little corner in the basement where I got my easel set up and all my paint stuff, and that's my corner. Nobody touches it. And I have really, really good headphones.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. So
Yep. And I have a little smart device that plays my music. I have voice command, and I've got noise canceling earbuds. I just put in and I just go. So kids can be running crazy and the house can be burned down. I'd be like, hey.
I have no kids, and so I have no excuse. I just get easily distracted.
That's okay too. That's okay. Because I get easily distracted too, because I do RC cars, I play Xbox, I hang out with my wife, hang out with my kids. It's like, so my painting time is really after the kids are in bed. I get a couple hours a night to...
And then kind of gear down and allow yourself to really immersing yourself in that. So...
Yep. Or when everybody's sick and they go on vacation, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I stay home.
You were mentioning a little bit about how you've been involved in the art scene, and you met Danny Carmen, who of course is part of River Ridge Art Association.
Yep.
And so can you talk to me a little bit about how you would like to be involved in the art scene, or what you would like to see yourself doing within the art scene?
Honestly, I think getting my art out there more is my biggest thing right now. I've been involved. I mean, Denny's been like art commissioner in the city and everything like that. And I don't know if I want to get that involved, but I think getting involved with the newer artists, like I have been, finding artists for venues and stuff like that, and getting my own artwork out there, I think I'm good in the local community. I mean, granted, I may have submitted a portfolio to Wizards of the Coast for D&D.
Okay.
But, I would love to do stuff in general, I like my art to be a part-time gig that I can make a decent living on. If I don't make any of my art, whatever. But,
we're going to have to talk Dragon Lands at some point. They are my favorite books.
I have not read Dragon.
I might have to send you home with one. Because they're phenomenal.
I know. Oh, I know. I know of them and know what they're about, but I just haven't had the time to read.
I imagine the people who are watching our interview are probably like, "Shut up, nerds."
Oh no, we're nerds and we flag our nerd flag high. Yep.
So I'd like to ask you a final question, and of course, as someone who is establishing themselves as an artist and has worked hard to move into the art scene here, is there, what would you say to maybe a young artist to encourage them if they're finding it hard to find validity or traction in the art world? What's some advice you would give them?
See, I'm older, and so, but I still struggled, because I think the biggest struggle I had when I was starting this was not letting what other artists do dictate what I create. I think the best thing I can say is that don't let what other people tell you dictate what you create.
Right.
create what you want, create what you feel, create what's in your head.
Yeah.
And even though, I've got kind of a niche style in the way I do my art, and not a lot of people will buy it. That's cool, but they won't take it home with them. And that's fine. Doesn't bother me. I enjoy doing it for myself. Right. And I think the biggest thing is, just don't let what you hear or what you see dictate what you want to create.
Right.
Don't do it for other people. Do it for yourself. Yeah. Because even if your style is way off and left field from anything out there, somebody out there will love your art and will appreciate it, and it'll make a difference for them.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful advice. So,
yeah.
So, Ryker, thank you so much for joining this evening. Again, I got to let my nerdy little heart happy.
Oh, yeah.
Can you, of course, we can find you at Artist Simply.
Yes.
Which is, of course, the magazine that we are interviewing for. Can you tell our audience where else they can find you if they're interested in seeing your work or purchasing your paintings or your prints?
If you go to Twitter, it's @byryker. Instagram is @artbyryker. Facebook is Art by Ryker. Okay. So it's kind of, and when I finish I'm going to have a web page by the end of the year, I think. So.
And are you gearing up to do a show anytime soon?
I have got so many shows. I started Wiley's in January, and then I went from there. I just got done with my stuff at First Avenue Coffee last month, which that's amazing. If you like coffee, you need to go with coffee. They're at all my work is at Taza Coffee right now at the Rock Point Business Park. Okay. And then next month I'm going to be at the Flour Mill Artists for 2 of their shows in April at the Flour Mill, and then May I'm at the Bookend again, and then June we're actually going to be at Comic-Con in Spokane. I am a vendor. I'm not going as the artist. I'm going as a vendor because we want to bring in Midge, and her books are going to be there. And we're going to have the Dragon Realm piece that I'm working on as the centerpiece above the whole table. Then I'm going to have Dark Fair there, and then we have another new one that I haven't talked about yet there that I'm working on. And then we'll have, the cover, the painting cover up and everything, and it's going to be amazing. So.
I cosplay also. It is like one of my favorite hobbies ever.
You gotta stop by and say hi.
Yes, I will. I'm actually going to go as Morrigan this year.
No. I love Dragon Age.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, thank you so much, you guys. Obviously, we're going to continue this interview after we get done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll still talk.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.